sure if
Town Spencer's putting solar on their cap.
Good evening and welcome to the September 1st regular Board of Selectmen meeting. I'll ask we start with a pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for Bruce Hebert. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for observing the loss of our very involved person in our community, Bruce Hebert, who passed away recently, very suddenly, who was an active member on Lakes and Ponds and the Prindle Lake Dam. Our condolences go out to the family of Bruce, and hopefully we can move on. All right, we'll start with the reading of the agenda. We'll go over our minutes of our August 18th regular Selectmen's meeting, move on to community relations, announcements, and open forums. We'll move on to appointments and resignations, which we have none at this time. We have two scheduled appointments tonight, a 6:45 with the motorsports zoning with Russ Jennings, a 7 o'clock appointment for solar panels on landfills per Board of Health. Under new business, we have two items. One, site plan application for ZPT Energy Solutions LLC solar array. And two, a special license request for a class union at the Masonic Home. Under old business, we have one item for the, we'll be opening the special town meeting warrant. We'll move on to committee reports, followed by Board of Selectmen policy reviews, then our town administrator report, and other business unknown at the time of posting. Our next meetings will be our Board of Selectmen goals and objectives meeting on September 8th at 6 o'clock. We'll have a government study committee / Board of Selectmen joint committee September 15th at 5 o'clock. Our next regular Selectmen's meeting will be September 15th. We'll have a Selectmen special meeting September 22nd at 6 p.m. and another regular Selectmen's meeting at September 29th. We have a full schedule. And then we'll adjourn. We'll enter executive session and adjourn for the sole purpose of adjournment. What is the board's wishes of the August 18th regular meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair, I
Ms.
make
Cooper.
a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second that, but I'm going to have to abstain from voting because I wasn't there.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the August 18th meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstains?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes with 2 ayes and 2 abstentions. Now move on to reading the announcements. The town hall will be closed on Monday, September 7th for the observance of Labor Day. Old Home Day kickoff with concert and fireworks will be Saturday, September 5th at 88 Masonic Home Road. Old Home Day will be celebrated on Monday, September 7th. The Charlton Rays Foundation, the Residential Energy Assistance for Seniors annual fundraiser, will have a Taste of the Towns Saturday, January 30th, 2016 from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at the new location at St. Joseph's Church, which is at 10 H. Putnam Road Extension. It'll be $15 per person. Please check out the booth at Old Home Day. They'll be selling refreshing lemonade and popcorn. Please purchase your tickets from the Charlton Senior Center at Old Home Day, Southbridge Savings Bank in Charlton, or Country Bank in Charlton. Checks should be payable to the Rays Foundation, that's R-E-A-S Foundation, Rays Foundation, and sent to P.O. Box 793, Charlton, Mass. 01507. For more information, please contact 508-248-2231 or 508-868-5289. You can find more information online at rayscharlton.org. That's R-E-A-S charlton.org. Drug Take Back Day. Got drugs? Turn your used or expired medication for safe disposal at Charlton Police Department. That's 85 Masonic Home Road on Saturday, September 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There'll be an open house at the Southbridge Landfill September 19th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 165 Barefoot Road. Come to learn about the future expansion plans for the landfill. We'll be holding another Household Hazardous Waste Day on September 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 165 Barefoot Road in Southbridge. If you have any questions about the event or acceptable materials, please call Casella Waste Services at 888-532-2735. And with that, No appointments or resignations. We move on to scheduled appointment for 6:45. Is Russ here? Mr. Jennings, will you please introduce yourself? And you may begin.
Good evening. Thanks for seeing me this evening. Russ Jennings. I'm not here representing Sunset City, just to set the record straight. This is in regards to a conversation I had with David Singer several different times.
I'll ask you to speak right into the mic.
I'm sorry?
You want me to make it a little closer to you?
So this regards a conversation David and I had about motorsports in general and zoning, and even concerning like my project, where currently it could wind up directly in someone's backyard. And David and I had both discussed that these things need offset distances and so on and so forth. I had discussed this with Robin as well. Thought it might be good to come to the board, talk to you guys, and see about starting a committee to establish some place in zoning for motorsports so that it does not wind up directly in someone's backyard. And just to keep you guys abreast of the situation, I spoke with Alan Gordon today, who said he'd be happy to discuss this at the planning board meeting, because it's 40A zoning, so he recommended that we actually go there instead, so.
So, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer?
yeah, I spoke with Russ. I think it's a good idea. The conversation we had basically was about bringing together everybody, you know, people from both sides, people who are, you know, everyone has an opinion for or against, but let's bring everyone together and work as, instead of being opposing and you know, butting heads, let's actually come together and work together on a solution that everyone can be happy with that serves the town. It's not just motocross. You guys have heard me talk about solar farms. There's so many things in this town that we have no guidance on. So you have someone on the planning board, well, they may have an opinion. The next person on the planning board has a different opinion. Everything's arbitrary and there are no guidelines. So it helps to actually maybe bring everyone together. And I would be happy to sit on this committee with them and actually have everyone involved in setting up guidelines for the benefit of the town's future.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Mr. McGrath?
I know when Russell and I talked about this, one of my suggestions to him was that he probably go down and talk to the town planner
Yep.
and the planning board, since that's basically their expertise. They can work with the whole, with the
Oh,
group
yeah.
of people that have all, you know, come forward and with all the concerns. And like with anything that goes through the planning board where it's new, it's, you know, and while it's a good thing to do while it's fresh in everybody's mind about what the pitfalls were, what, you know, and the voids where there was no, you know, no direction as to where to go with this.
Yep.
I think that's, and legally, they know what they can and can't do, and how to, you know, how to really help write the zoning bylaw with everybody's input.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have all the pros and all the people who are out in the public now, and maybe, you know, some of them would like to join us. And, you know, Ron, I know I talked to Ron several times about helping out, and, you know, Bob Brunel, maybe you'd like to help out, and, you know.
I mean, I'm open to it. I think it's a good idea to bring everybody together and get everyone's input.
Sure.
That we can come together with some guidelines that everyone will be happy with.
So are we looking to create a formal committee, an informal committee, an information committee, and who would be in charge of that? It
Well, I
seems
think
like-
Alan had just suggested we come to the planning board meeting tomorrow, if people were available. Same thing, have the discussion, get the ball rolling.
I'll just
Zoning's
say-
their thing, and,
I have to work tomorrow night, however, you know and you guys know, I'm on board and happy to participate in any
Okay,
group that
great.
comes together to make something for everybody.
Yep.
So if you go tomorrow, I have to work, but you can say David's on board,
okay.
and I'll participate definitely.
Yeah, they know zoning, and I think that working hand in hand with them would be a real asset to the group, and so.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have any comments on the Board of Selectmen? What about from anyone else from the crowd?
Any volunteers?
I'm sure if anyone's interested, they can show up
Okay.
to the planning
Yeah.
board, yeah.
So that'll be tomorrow night. What time are you scheduled to come on?
Roughly around 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So I figure everyone will be at the meeting beforehand, so it's easy, you know, to
Thank
walk right over.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you.
Yep. And before we go to our 7 p.m. appointment, I forgot about the announcements. Does anyone have any other announcements or from the board? One second. I have one. If you can see in front of us, we have a new phone system at Town Hall. I want to thank Mr. Meskis for putting in many, many hours installing the system. I know it's just phase one, but definitely an upgrade that was long past due. Now, is anyone here for open forum? Chief?
Through the chair while we're waiting for the chief to get situated.
Yes, Mr. McGrath.
I don't know how many people are on Facebook, but the chief and the Charlton Police Department had a very good offer to help people if they were having a business problem. I think I'll let the chief explain it from there. It was pretty good, and I know it got a lot of legs, so.
I believe what Selectman McGrath is referring to came actually from Officer Mike McGrath. He saw another department down south, it was a sheriff's department that had a creative way of getting people to, well, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek situation as far as if you're in the drug dealing business and the other drug dealer is taking your business away, report, your competition, and will gladly, assist, and helping them, bringing them to the court and putting them out of business. But
Did you get any takers?
I would just say respectfully, I did get actually two valid contacts that, as far as drug dealing going on through that.
Excellent.
So we had a lot of fun with it, but seriously, we did get two. So that was, and there was, since then, there was a department in Maine that I believe took and mirrored what we were doing as well. They made their own form from ours, but I believe it was through ours, but it was similar. So and it happened after ours. So I have not spoken to them, but that's what.
Excellent.
The reason I'd like to just talk again about fireworks and Old Home Day. Fireworks, I want to remind everybody, the road in Route 31 in front of the Masonic Home, somewheres around 4 to 5 o'clock will be shut down. So traffic will be rerouted. If you're coming south on 31, you'll be rerouted at Trolley Crossing Road, up around H. Putnam Road Extension, North Main Street, and then back around. Any resident of the Masonic Home, any worker at the Masonic Home, any visitors going will have egress. They'll just need to tell the officer who's going to be at Trolley Crossing, and the officer that'll be over at Main and Masonic by Carpentier Plaza, that they need to get up there. The one thing that the Masonic Home has graciously allowed this year, again, for persons who are handicapped that have placards, there's a number of spaces that they will allow that person to utilize parking up in the front of the building to come and listen to the concert and view the fireworks. So if they're displaying a card, until we run out of spaces, they'll be able to do that. Other people will be able to drive up to the southeast driveway and drop people off, and then return back down and park down below and walk back up. So if you have people that have difficulty walking, or you have a lot of things with your children, people that have young babies and that, carriages, strollers, or whatever, come up, drop them off, and go back down. Don't struggle up the hill. So we'll help facilitate that as well. So, and then the road will remain closed until after we take down the bandstand, and it's between 11 and midnight. So it'll be down for probably about 8 hours. That road will be closed. On Monday, there'll be different times, but Main Street, if we're just talking Route 31 Main Street, from 9 a.m., it'll be shut down until about 5 p.m., and traffic will be rerouted. There will be temporary closures of Masonic Home Road and that for parade, and H. Putnam and that, like for the road race. So I just want people to plan their time, so that way, if somebody has to get to work or to an appointment or whatever, that if they come up and they're in a hurry, and they encounter that in the center, people that have moved in and never experienced, our celebration over the weekend, so we want to make sure that they know. Obviously, if there's an emergency, we're going to open the road up and let emergency traffic, fire engines, police cruisers, ambulances, through those areas. But other than that, general traffic will, unless you're a resident, say, of Main Street, we always facilitate that as well. Down at the corner of Main Street and Masonic Home Road, one of the local businesses down there has a limited number, there's a sign for handicap parking there for people. I don't know if the slots have been taken, but you can contact them if they haven't been all used up. That'd be another parking location over there. So right now, the weather's supposed to be good, and we hope that holds. The Old Home Day Committee has been, working hard, but I want to say thank you to all the individuals and businesses that have donated and made the fireworks possible this year. Because without that, we would not have fireworks. There's a lot of people that really stepped up and to make it happen, and in a tight economy where communities are not having celebrations or they're downsizing them, town of Charlton really stepped up. So my thanks to those people.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, one last thing. Please, if you're coming to Old Home Day and you have children between 3 and 14, please come to the frog jumping. So I picked up the trophies today for that and some of the other events. So please come, find your favorite water hole and your favorite frog. Please keep the frogs cool because it's going to be a hot day. But come and register at 10:30, and frog jumping starts at 11, and might come away with a trophy.
Chief, could you just say which days? I know you started talking about
Yep.
Fireworks and
Fireworks
parade,
are-
so can you just go through
Sure.
the schedule
The-
for the weekend?
The fireworks are on Saturday, September 5th, and so, like I said, the road will shut down between 4 and 5 because we're setting up the band, and then at 7 o'clock that night, the band will be playing Mondo Soul. Chairman Swenson, that's his band, and they play Motown, and they're very, very great band. Come out and see them. And the fireworks will go off at 9 o'clock. They'll be shot from St. Joe's. And I want to thank St. Joe's, too, for allowing us use of their property to set off the fireworks. And then Monday, we'll have people out at 6 a.m., but the first thing that we start doing is the soapbox derby on Mugget Hill Road. That'll start at 7 a.m. And that runs up until around 10 a.m. But there'll also be the road race that'll be starting at 9. Those are the two. And we respect the traffic on Mugget Hill Road. We just reroute them down Old Mugget and around. So it's just a brief detour. Anybody coming up Freeman Road, as the races, in between races, we shoot them across Mugget, up Old Mugget, and get them back up to Main Street. So we'll have officers in place. But the parade steps off at 3:30. So if some people just like to come to the parade, it's at 3:30. But I would just say to you, parking is going to be at a premium, so you need to get there early. You're not going to be able to just drive up, and we don't have big parking areas, so be prepared if you come late to walk a little distance. So. And please do not park where there's no parking signs or block any streets. None of us want to make a good day into a bad day for somebody because we had to tow their vehicle or tag it. We want everybody to come. It's free of charge. Come here, enjoy the day, talk to your neighbors and friends you haven't seen in a long time, and participate. This year also, for those that don't know, the 50th anniversary of the graduates from the high school here are having their class reunion on Saturday night as well at the Masonic Home. So, so there's a lot of things happening in town, and there's some new things that just get added. That we're having a committee meeting tomorrow. They're doing something with disc golf down here. You know, in the fields, there's a person that came up and they want to have that event for people. So we're adding that in. It won't be in the brochures. So, however, they're going to get that information out through Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. But that activity will be happening for people. And there may be also, I know we were asked about a BMX bike presentation too. That wasn't on the schedule. So a lot of people are coming last minute. And so we're hoping to make it a fun day and something for everybody.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Great.
So there'll be no festivities on Sunday?
Yep.
That was what I wanted to kind of highlight.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else here for open forum? Seeing none, I see our Board of Health appointment just came in. Since we're early, I th-
I would ask them if they expect anyone else to come.
do you expect anyone else to come, or is it just? That's coming.
Okay, so we can do some of the other things first?
Yeah, without any objection from the board, going to item number 1 under new business, which is the site plan application for ZPT Energy Solutions LLC solar array. Ms. Graver?
Yes, sir. We received a copy of a site plan application submitted to the planning board by ZPT Energy Solutions LLC to develop a 3.86 megawatt commercial ground-mounted solar array on approximately 18 acres of a 67-acre site located at 294 Southbridge Road. That's on Route 169. Said property is located behind Incom Fiber Optics and is zoned industrial general. You are asked to review and provide comments, if any, no later than Wednesday, September 9th.
Thank you, Ms. Graver. Does the board have any comments they wish to?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer?
I would ask that my usual comments be added regarding solar farms, that the planning board please take into consideration and hopefully require that there is adequate shielding so that it's not an eyesore from the roads going through that area of town and from any neighbors who live there.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to be forwarded to the planning board? You get that, Ms. Graver?
Yes,
You
sir.
did
Thank
Right
you very
now,
much.
didn't you? You read that one.
Just copy paste.
And then
All right,
next-
so move on to our second item under new business, a special license request for the class reunion at Masonic Home, as previously mentioned. Ms. Graver?
Yes, sir. Attached is a request from Kathy Keel for a special liquor license for wine and malt beverages to be used on Saturday, September 5th, 2015, at the Masonic Home for a class reunion from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. This request has been approved by the Building Commissioner, Fire Department, and Police Department. Per the board's policy, the license, if approved, should be issued for 2 additional days for the following reasons. Day 1 is to allow delivery of the alcohol to the establishment where there'll be no sales allowed. Day 2 for the sale of the on the approved date and time as listed. And day 3 to allow for pickup of any unused alcohol, and again, there'll be no sales allowed that day. I would recommend the board approve the special license as requested, with the dates on the license to be September 4th through September 6th, 2015. For information purposes, Masonic Home has closed the Overlook Catering, therefore they have no liquor license at this time. This is the purpose of the request for the special license.
Thank you. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer?
I would move to approve the license with the from September 4th to the 6th, 2015, with the included stipulations.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to
Second.
approve the license and a second from Mr. McGrath. Any discussion? I will say that Ms. Keel has a beautiful handwriting, if you saw the application. But seeing no other discussion, I will move to a vote. All in favor of approving the special alcohol license, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Well, since I see Mr. Gagnon coming up, we'll move back to our 7 o'clock Board of Health appointment. Is the Board of Health ready? You ready, or you need a few more minutes?
We're ready when you're ready.
All right, come on up.
Okay.
Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Board of Health is asked to be placed on the board's agenda to discuss solar panels on landfills here in Charlton. They've been scheduled for 7.
Thank you very much. Take it
Hi.
away.
Yeah, Matt Gagnon, Chairman, Charlton Board of Health. Thanks for having us. So I know there's been talk about putting solar on the landfill, previous times or whatnot, and I don't know how deep you guys have looked into it, but we did have an owner of a solar company come to us and said, hey, I would like to put solar on your landfill. And ultimately, we said, have you seen the landfill? It's pretty steep, and it's not, ideal terrain. And so I did a site walk with him. He came out, he did see the landfill, and he said, yeah, I can make this work here. So with that being said, I know of at least one company that has interest in putting solar on there. I also know that there's a due process on how that would happen, and ultimately would come before you guys, and you can't just say, okay, go ahead and put solar up there. It has to go out to bid or whatever that process is. So I just wanted to address that to you guys and see if it might be food for thought for you. The second concern about that was the old landfill, or the original landfill on Flint Road. They'd like to utilize that area as well. It's a little bit better terrain and whatnot. We had some concerns in doing that, but I just wanted to, bring that out there and see if you guys might look into that and follow any process to look into that.
Do you foresee any possible issues concerning, breaking of liners or any other health-related impacts of putting a solar panel on top of the landfill?
We asked that question. We do have some concerns, and not so much with damaging the liner or whatnot, but we had other concerns just in general. We had a list. But to address that particular concern, there didn't look like there would be a problem doing it. They're portable, portable units on concrete blocks. They don't have to drill in. One of the reasons why the Board of Health is in favor of this is the board is responsible for maintaining that landfill. We have to mow it twice a year, and it's got a pretty good price tag to do that. So in addition to funds coming in from solar, we'd also make it contingent that they maintain the landfill, so we're not now spending money as well. So financially, there might be something there.
Right.
So,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer?
did you have a question?
No, go ahead.
This is all new to me. I'm interested, but I'm also concerned that you have other concerns. So, for me, I would wanna know if you could get to me what all your concerns are and how this person says he's going to address your concerns.
can we
Because
talk
right off
about?
the bat, I'm pretty much not gonna support something if the Board of Health is against it. I think you already know that. I think you guys, you pretty much usually have valid reasons. So, if there are concerns, what are this person's comments about how they're gonna address those concerns? My other concerns are, more concerns, I wanna go, I guess, and take a look also to see, looking at the site itself, how could that affect any neighboring areas if there's basically now a landfill covered with mirrors, basically. So, that's one of my concerns,
Thank
one
you.
of my issues, I guess.
Can I address one of the concerns?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
One of the concerns, and it's a serious concern for us, is concerning the old landfill, that original landfill. We're concerned that at some point DEP is gonna come knocking on our door and tell us that we have to cap that properly and officially like we did the other one. And we don't wanna have a 20-year, or whatever the timeframe may be, commitment with solar on there. So to address that, one suggestion was, well, let's nip it in the bud and let's get that capped the way it's supposed to be, put that fire out, and let the solar pay for that.
So they would pay to actually cap it.
The money side of it would be on your department. But the idea was that revenue from the solar would help that permanent solution on the old landfill and pay to get that.
So my other question would be, and you may or may not know, if we're looking at this not only as a source of revenue, a method of eliminating expenditures for the town, eliminating some headaches for the Board of Health and the town, that's two positives. Third is, you mentioned a source of revenue for the town. Do we have any idea what the town would see as far as revenue?
We did not talk revenue because, quite frankly, it's not our department to do that. But I can tell you that the board spends anywhere from 10 to 12,000 a year in mowing that landfill. So from an expense point of view, that would be revenue that we do not have to throw out there.
So I'd be interested to see what our savings are that we're not spending, and some way to find out, if we have to meet with them or whatever, you know, what are they looking at for us, and see what the big picture would be. I mean, it piqued my interest.
Absolutely. And I would assume if you've looked into state policies, EPA policies, I know there's regulated land uses for landfills, and they've satisfied those concerns.
Yeah, the particular client that came to us, he's done them on landfills before. He's actually, he's done some solar work in this town already. But that would be, those concerns would be directly with the contractor in negotiations with you guys, and as, you know, as the, we don't know contract when it comes to that. But we did throw that out there and say, hey, you know, we don't, and he said, yeah, no, we've done that, and they've done work on landfills. So he's very confident in what he's done. He's done other projects similar to it, so.
Mr. McGrath?
Through the chair, first of all, thanks, guys, for thinking outside the box a little bit and coming forward with, you know, with a revenue generating, you know, idea. Usually we see revenue depleting ideas, not from everybody, but that's a good thing. And then also to, you know, to eliminate a cost that you have, that's a great thing. You know, I guess what would you guys suggest, that we ask the town administrator, or, you know, go ahead.
I have some thoughts.
Ms. Graber?
Excellent.
And yes, I was excited to hear the people that he had talked to. As you know, the board has had it looked at least twice by solar companies that were interested, and they declined to continue and go forward. So to answer a couple of things, one, I would suggest that we start out with, we have a consultant, CDM. My first thought would be to have a conversation with them about their concerns regarding how the landfill was capped and whether or not it makes sense to put these things on, and what kind of assurances we would need. And then what we would need to do is to write an RFP. As Matt said correctly, we would not be able to just negotiate with this person, so we would want to put out an RFP that would have everything the town would want to protect itself, while leaving it open wide enough so that a developer can come in and say, here's how I'm going to approach the project. Continue with the consultant to make sure we're reviewing, to make sure we're not going to have any issues, because I'd rather have the mowing headache than a headache of breaching that liner. So, I mean, those are the things, and I think Matt's also correct. If they're very interested in the old landfill, we can write into the RFP that they would be responsible for working with DEP, getting whatever permits is required, and capping it to the satisfaction of DEP. So, and I would be willing to take a look at, as we're developing that RFP, to have a conversation with the developer just to see so that we don't write it in a way that might be prohibitive to anyone bidding. So if that makes sense, that's how I would suggest that you approach it if the Board of Selectmen approves to go out for an RFP.
Thank you. Chief?
Because where I live in the town of Spencer, and because their landfill, they are in the process of putting, right now as we speak, solar up there. So if our town administrator talked to Mr. Gaudette, the town administrator from Spencer, maybe there is some hurdles or information or things that they've already encountered. You know, if ours is capped differently than theirs or what have you, but there may be some core information that could be shared, so we don't have to, the learning process.
Very, very good point, Chief, and also we have our net metering credit with the town, contract with the town of Shirley, a developer who's putting some on. So we would be able to have access, when we start to write that RFP, to use, to take a look at some other towns' RFPs.
Thank you,
So
Chief.
Do we need to make a motion to have the town administrator start the ball rolling on this?
Yes, sir.
So I'll make the motion to have the town administrator start investigating the possibility of putting solar on the cap landfill.
Right.
I'll second.
Second.
Oh, we have a motion and a second to authorize the town administrator to start the process of looking into adding solar to the landfills.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could you add to that motion, so you know it's both, the possibility that both dumps, because you said the cap.
Okay, sure, yeah,
No
absolutely.
big deal.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to
Plural.
also add the old landfill.
And I'll
Yep.
second.
And I'll include the scope of capping that old landfill as well.
I'll also contact DEP to see if they have any recommendations or issues. We might as well hit that head-on for the old landfill.
Proactive, I like it.
Well,
Sometimes you fly under the radar.
Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much for coming forward with this. You know, it's really
We
good to
also,
be proactive.
just for one other point of information, we still have some money left over from the landfill closing. And we can take a look at what we would need with the RFP. And then come October, when we do the special town meeting, we may be able to reallocate some of that borrowed money, because it would still be part of the landfill if we need to.
Okay, excellent.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I'm scared of getting more and more good news.
You're doing well.
Don't worry about it.
All right, with that, we are all set with new business. Move on to old business. The opening a special town meeting warrant. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. At the board's last meeting, you approved the calendar and date for the special town meeting on October 20th, 2015. Tonight, you are scheduled to open the warrant. Once opened, I will notify the departments.
Thank you, Ms. Craver. What are the wishes of the board of opening the special
Through
town
the chair.
meeting? Mr. McGrath?
I make a motion that we open the special town meeting warrant, and for a special town meeting on the date of October 20th, 2015, and that the calendar be provided to the department heads.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on opening the special town meeting warrant? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Craver, for taking care of that. Still can't believe it's already that time of year again.
It's kind of depressing.
Right.
Summer went too fast.
And with that, we'll move on to the town administrator's report. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Regarding the sex offender bylaw that we have, the Supreme Judicial Court has invalidated all sex offender residency bylaws across the state in a case against the city of Lynn, which means the town of Charlton is null and void now. Town council has informed the chief of police that he should not take any actions to enforce the law. The complaint alleged, the court agreed, that the following claims under the United States and Massachusetts Constitutions: one, it was a violation of the Home Rule Amendment. Two, that it was a violation of the clauses prohibiting ex post facto laws. Three, violation of the right to substantive due process. Four, violation of the right to familiar association. Five was a violation of the right to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution, and cruel or unusual punishment under Article 26 of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. And lastly, 6, violation of the right to travel. I have attached the decision for your review as provided by Town Council. We're also looking to see if it's just null and void and we don't need to take any action, or if we need to, if it would be advantageous to take this to town meeting and repeal it. So,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Singer?
I have a couple issues with this. One is I'm just curious how the state can basically overrule a federal decision that's already been made on that. The federal courts, the Eighth Circuit Court is already, federal level has already said it is constitutional and it's fully legal. How can Massachusetts now say that the federal decision is incorrect. My other thing is, we don't know what, was it Lynn? What was it? Yeah, we don't know what Lynn's bylaw was. So Lynn's bylaw could have been perhaps more overreaching, or we don't know. It may not have even been similar to ours. But the action taken, if they're making all residency bylaws, even if they were vastly different from Lynn's, it may be worth going back and seeing how similar or different they were, and then, you know, I'd go to pass ours again. I think it's ridiculous.
And as much as I agree with David, I think we have to wait till town council tells us, gives us guidance, because I'm sure all town councils are working on this.
Yes,
You
they
know,
are.
and city solicitors trying to figure out what the heck to do.
So I'll ask
If
the
you
town
would, then.
administrator to keep a close ear on this going forward.
If you would, please, because this, as you know, was a big issue for me, and I pushed very hard to get this bylaw in place, and we'd done a lot of research and found out that the federal government already said, you're legit, it's fine, go for it. So this is a eye-opener for me, that Mass
And
would do this.
And I will say that as towns and states create laws, they get tested as to their constitutionality when there's cases arise challenging them. So even the town, that's why when we vote new bylaws, we send them to the AG's office, and they take a look at them and kind of juxtapose them to all of the other state laws to see if they're valid. So this law has been now juxtaposed to the Constitution and Massachusetts Declaration of Rights, and the court has found that it violates those. So we will keep an eye on it. I will keep you informed if there's any changes, and I will let town council know that you have concerns about this, and is there any way that we can take a look at it again. And
Definitely, because the Mass Attorney General's office had already approved it as being legal. This had already been an issue that was at the state's level in many states, and had gone through what it went through apparently just now in Massachusetts, which is why it had progressed to the
Supreme
federal
Court.
Eighth Court of Appeals, which said, no, states, it is constitutionally alone. So Massachusetts now is basically pushing back the federal government when they've already told the states, no, that's legal.
Especially when it seems like it's a very wide-reaching decision from
Yeah.
one case. Mr. McGrath?
Just glancing at it, like in the footnotes and stuff that it says here, it looks as though they had gone beyond what
Lynn
we
may
had
have gone
talked,
beyond,
and, because they set up child safety zones, and there's like a whole footnote on that whole part. So I think it's not the whole law that they're against. I think it's certain portions of it, which I think is what they're gonna
Right.
try and straighten out.
Hopefully, because they wipe it all out. I know, like, when we had done ours, one of the things that we were very careful of and conscious of was not violating that
to
right to
make it
travel
so
law.
restrictive.
Yeah.
And other laws that were not violated when we crafted ours.
Right.
So at this time, we will not be enforcing it, though, until this all gets straightened out, at the recommendation of town council.
Thank you, Ms. Graver.
Okay. And
It's amazing, isn't it? How fast when a criminal complains, they'll get what they want.
And just regarding the special town meeting, we are in the process of developing a draft warrant and have had several requests for articles. I expect I'll have a preliminary list for you next week, just starting out. Also, what I don't have on here is your goals and objectives will be coming up. I will be making a list. Please, if you have not sent in your questionnaire to get that in. Thank you for those who have done that. Also, you had asked me about contacting residents regarding Casella. We have put together a letter, and we'll be sending that out. We started out to do it with 500 feet parameter, and we realized we had about 15. We realized that many of the people who have complained about smells live further, so we widened it, so we're doing about 100 letters down in that area. So again, if people don't get a letter and they're still interested in being put onto the group email notification, please contact our office, and we will also put it on cable, so people will know. The contracts for Fay Mountain Farm, Conservation Commission meets tomorrow night, and we're hoping to have that completed. Attorney Cosgrove has had his review, and today I sent them back. I went through them. I sent them back out to the farmers, and hopefully if they approve by tomorrow, we will get them to the Conservation Commission. If approved, then I will contact Michelle at the Department of Agriculture and start to get that ball rolling. And then trees, I looked out the window and, you know, as we're starting to round up close up summer, thinking, you know, what's next in seasons, and I went, oh my goodness, soon as we get around Labor Day, the chief's gonna be looking for his tree for tree lighting, and, so I've contacted Bigelow. As you remember, we put the trees in and they were somewhat crooked. Bigelow took
Sad,
them out,
very sad
and,
trees.
we were put new ones in, so I'm gonna work with Bigelow Nurseries to try and get those new 2 trees in, right after Labor Day, so that they'll be stable for our tree lighting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the town administrator?
Just, on other committee reports,
Oh, yep.
we have the municipal building committee. We met, a few questions came up about a couple of windows that were almost below grade from where the stairwell's supposed to be coming down. We satisfied those questions. The footings were poured, now the foundation wall's poured. The rebars was all attached to the existing foundation. We authorized Kurt to move forward with the excavation for the drainage around the footings of the building itself. It's a little bit more of an add-on, but it's do it right once and be done with it.
Yeah, don't want to open up again.
Yeah, exactly, and especially after we put everything new down. We have a little bit of a water problem in one corner of the building where this should remedy everything that we have down there. And then there was some color samples floating about, which my wife said she hopes that I wasn't involved in choosing any colors because I'm not good at it. But it was only concrete samples for some of the lintels and some of the other concrete that needs to be replaced out there. So the choices were made, but I don't think I was involved.
Thank you for that update, Mr. McGrath. Does anyone else have any announcements, concerns, bad jokes? Is any other business unknown time of posting? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So
Could I get that motion stated as written, please?
sure, I'll read it. I'm trying. I make a motion that we enter executive session of the Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. And number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. And number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And the chair does declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and that the board will convene to open session only for the sole purpose of adjourning. Is there any discussion on the motion? I thought Mr. McGrath did a good job. Maybe we should continue that in the future.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll move to a roll call vote. Ms. Cooper?
Aye.
Mr. McGrath?
Aye.
Mr. Singer?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We're now in executive session. We'll exit executive session solely for the purpose of adjournment. Our next meetings will be our Board of Selectmen Goals and Objectives meeting on September 8th at 6 o'clock. We have a Government Study Committee / Board of Selectmen meeting on September 15th at 5 o'clock, a regular Selectmen's meeting at September 15th, and another special meeting on September 22nd at 6 o'clock. With that, have a good night.